Started off as a PG podcast, but then Devin just kept on dropping shits and fucks, and now...
That's right. We are live.
The ghost faced himself, Brandon Tanev.
This isn't like the start of last season when it looked like the Canucks were just a beer league team not playing defense at all. And just before Chris goes, no, I'm kidding, Chris, you can actually go now.
no, hold on.
We had to give more time for coming on late. So.
I still had, hold on. All right. Chris, go, and then I got something else to say at the end.
So, an elf and a midget in 2 back-to-back games. He's definitely on a friendship tour for sure.
Saying, I'm okay with him being, the 6'7" defenseman. No! He is a AHL defenseman right now.
Look, Shonky, don't mind Devin, okay? We all struggle with Devin, so you know.
Well, hello, one and all. Welcome to the Shifts and Pucks podcast. You can, of course, follow us on Twitter at Shifts and Pucks. We're live, facebook.com, the Shifts and Pucks, youtube.com, Shifts and Pucks, and, of course, twitch.com, Shifts and Pucks, and you can subscribe to wherever you get your audio, as we are here on another Wednesday afternoon, fresh off the debut of Tyler Toffoli, as he scored a goal in his first game against the Columbus Blue Jackets, ahead of the game against the Anaheim Ducks. Our good friend Dylan, Anaheim Ducks, in a big Pacific Division battle. So we are, this is our Flames Focus podcast, and Devin, it's 3 straight days with Devin. Hello, Devin.
It's a lot of Devin. I don't know how our listeners and viewers feel about it, but hey, they're stuck with me.
They're very happy with it. I think your face is better than my face, so that's
debatable. That's debatable.
Hey, I'm just going with the facts here. And
you're a beautiful human, Kev. Beautiful human.
Thanks, man. Sean, it's been a couple of hours.
Yeah. Well, we've got the announcement on next Monday that we are working with Area 51 and Sean Warren on, and we had a meeting about that, and that's exciting. And we got lots to talk about, and just to let's address the elephant in the room, or the elephant not in the room. That is Ryan Pinder, who hopefully will join us today. But if he doesn't, we'll still rattle on, right?
Yeah. So I mean, he gets up. I know I personally can totally relate to his schedule, as he's up at the hour of the God's hour at 4:30. I've done that. It's not a sleep in, so it's usually time for afternoon nap. I get it. So we're hoping to have Ryan Pinder. If he's not here, we'll get Ryan Pinder at some point in time, and we'll do that. We're gonna do a term that I've used. We're gonna rag the puck a little bit to save some time for Pinder, and we're gonna start backwards. This is a huge day of hockey. This is like, Sunday was the Super Bowl. Today is Super Hockey. You've got the Flames and the Ducks tonight. You've got the Wild and the Winnipeg Jets tonight. You've got the debut of Jack Eichel tonight, and Vegas is playing the Colorado Avalanche. And then you've got the best rivalry in hockey, Canada versus U.S. for the gold medal. And both of them, it is going to be, by the way, the only hockey medal that Canada and the U.S. are going to get, as both were eliminated late last night. Slovakia shocking the U.S. in a shootout. Good for Slovakia. And the Swedes knocking off the Canadians today this morning. So I guess maybe we'll touch on, from the men's perspective, to me, the shocker, I think, I wasn't surprised about Canada, to be honest with you. There was not a lot of offense in this lineup. They were having trouble scoring. And even when you heard Landon Ferraro speak in the second intermission of the Sweden game, is that this wasn't designed to be an offensive juggernaut. They needed to get a break to get there. So for Canada, I wasn't too surprised. The U.S. was a shock to me because there was a lot of skill there. I mean, I think if you're a Kraken fan, you got to be pretty happy about what you're seeing from Matty Beniers. If you're a Senators fan, you should be happy about what you're seeing from Jake Sanderson. But ultimately, Slovakia pulled it off. I hate deciding games via shootout, but that's the rules in Slovakia. Slovakia did it.
Yeah, it's as you said, the Sweden team is also full of players who had played in the NHL, like and recently. Like you had Anton Ladner, you had Philip Holm, and it just they were the better team today. Like I didn't get up and watch the first period, but I did watch the second and third, and it just was it was a slog. And as you said, the Canadian team was definitely missing some offensive punch, and it just they even sat Kent Johnson for the first half of the third period until they were down. And I think that was a massive mistake by Jeremy Colleton and Claude Julien. Like I don't understand why that you would like play your youth, they needed legs. The Sweden was definitely bogging down the neutral zone and making it tough, or even just the blue line. The Canadian team had so much struggles at just exiting their own zone. It wasn't good. But Buffalo Sabres fans should be happy. Owen Power still looked really good in this tournament. He didn't look out of place playing against men. Mason McTavish still didn't look out of place. Kent Johnson didn't look out of place. So the young players were there. It's just they needed help, and they were definitely missing just a one or two players who you could rely on to be offensive players, and they were hoping Josh Hosang would be that, but he was just you saw why he's not in an NHL.
I was just about to say, I was going to give him props. I thought he played okay.
He's a perimeter player. Like yeah. That's that. Like I said, he played well, but you saw why he's not in an NHL. He's fast, he's skilled, but he doesn't get to the dirty areas that you need to score.
He's not a big body either, so that's just that is his game. But props to Sweden. A lot of criticism coming out of Sweden, leaving out a lot of some decently talented players. But like they said on the broadcast, they built that team for this game, to be a grinding team, to play that trap system. And it wasn't exciting hockey, but they got the job done. And that's all that matters at the end of the day. They're going for potential medal here. And yeah, good on them. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's Finland, Sweden in the final.
That's an underrated rivalry, but that would be a lot of fun, sure. And really, with that tournament, I think it was anybody's ball game to win or lose. There wasn't really one of those teams that was really ahead of anybody else, really. So we was all in the mushy middle. So in terms of Canada, I wasn't too surprised. It's kind of too bad. But with the women, I think it's going to be a great game. I think Canada is going to have to play a lot better than they did when they last met, when they won 4-2. But there was Desbiens made 50 saves. But that is going to be a lot of fun and a great way to end a great evening of hockey.
Yeah, is it the best rivalry in hockey?
Yes. And I'll tell you why I consider this way, because the Canadian women have, even as dominant as they have been, they have had to change and adjust their style in their game. They brought in more offense. They brought in the Sarah Filliers, the Sarah Nurses. They've had to adapt their game to make sure that they match with the U.S. So even at the levels that they are at, there's still, both of these teams are trying to make sure that they improve. So yes, that's why I consider it the best rivalry in hockey right now. And they just legitimately don't like each other. Like,
there's definitely some on ice hate in this. Like I remember we having this conversation. What's a bigger rivalry? Canada versus U.S. in women's hockey, or Canada versus U.S. in women's soccer? Both have that on ice, on field hate, and it's great. That's what you want in a rivalry. Hopefully we get some more fireworks in the Minnesota Wild and Winnipeg Jets game tonight, and hopefully we get some good fast paced hockey in the gold medal game tonight, because we know what they can do. I hope most if not everyone watched the gold medal game in this past summer that they had for the Women's World Championships, and that went to overtime and Captain Clutch Marie-Philippe Poulin scored for Canada to give him the first World Championship in a long time. So yeah, I can't wait. It's gonna be so much fun to watch.
Yeah, obviously I'm gonna steal a quote from Peter Loubardias, friend of the show. I love it when my country crushes others, and it could be like, you know, it will be an amazing game to watch. It's gonna be a lot of hockey to watch. Let's put it that way. A lot of hockey to watch, starting from 5:00. You have like Kevin said, Jets Wild, which is going to be great. 5:30. Watch it in the once the first intermission happens, you can watch the Panthers and Hurricanes. That's going to be a hell of a game. And then later
that
on,
too, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that, like, we talk about speed, tenacity, and just that's a class of the East right there. So yeah, and then obviously the Flames Ducks, and then tonight you've I don't know. I'm very excited. I'm at loss for words, which is great for a podcast, but I can't wait.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you get to Eichel in Colorado here just for that game. Colorado coming off a loss against Dallas. They haven't lost in regulation since, I think, the 15th of December. Vegas is coming in with all of this pomp and circumstances, and Colorado is going to want to crash that damn party. And I don't think those two teams, I know they're not in the same division, obviously, but they don't like each other. And they may be the final. We'll touch on it. I said this last night. I still think Vegas is the favorite in the Pacific, and they still could be the two teams that end up the last two standing in the West. So, statement made. And so this is why we do all these podcasts. This is why we lift these microphones.
That's right. It's really too bad that Leonard's not going to be in the lineup. Laurent Brossoit will be backstopping the Vegas Golden Knights tonight. Hopefully he will be. Leonard will be only day to day. We don't know exactly what's going on there, but there's been rumblings and whispers that it might be a bit longer term than what they want it to be, and I would really love to see with how good this Vegas team when everybody is healthy, because if it is as big of a juggernaut as we are making it out to be, it'd be a fun team to watch. And it just sucks that they're in the Pacific Division with both of our teams that we mostly cover here on Shifts and Pucks podcast.
Yeah, and like they played last year in the playoffs, like the Avs and Golden Knights, so they've got some rivalry there. And it was a 6-game series, but the Avs had played 3 goalies, I think 4 goalies in that series, because they just, or was that 2 years ago that they ran out of the goaltend? No, that was the bubble. They ran out of the goaltend.
That was the bubble.
Yeah. Grubauer pretty much was trying to stand on his head with Colorado against Vegas last year.
Yeah, because Colorado won 7-1 in game 1. They were up 2-0 in that series. They won 3-2 in overtime in game 2. Then Vegas came back, won 3-2 in game 3, 5-1 in game 4. Then they won in Colorado, which was 3-2 in Colorado in game 5, which set them up to win the series in 6 at home too. So they are 2 of the best teams in the West. I would say arguably the 2 best teams in the West when But with the Flames are pushing up there right now. But you've got they're still missing Alec. The Golden Knights are still missing Alec Martinez. They're still missing Zach Whitecloud on the blue line. Mark Stone's out for as long as it takes for them to be allowed to dress a full lineup, I guess. And if you look at their lineup, the projected lineup is they've split up the misfit line and they've gone with they're trying to go with depth and have 3 really good scoring lines. So it's going to be really interesting.
I find it interesting that they don't have Riley Smith on that top line with Danilov. I think they might be trying to showcase Danilov to another team to take him so when Mark Stone is eligible to come back and he is healthy, hopefully within this regular season, but who knows exactly what's going to happen there. I think they're trying to showcase him, but I mean, if I'm Vegas, your top right winger would be Riley Smith, not Evgeny Danilov. No one wants to touch that contract with a 10-foot pole. It's $5 million for the next 2 years, or I guess a year and a half. He has 1 year left at $5 million. Mm-hmm. No one wants that. That was a stupid signing.
Yeah. I think there's honestly maybe it's a little bit like that, but I think they're also like I said, just deepening the lineup a bit because you've got Pacioretty, Eichel, and Dadonov on one line. Then you've it's Matthias Janmark, William Karlsson, and Riley Smith on another line, and then you've got Jonathan Marchessault, Chandler Stevenson, and Nick Waugh on another line, and that just is deep. And like Janmark and Waugh are underrated. I don't like they're good sort of third line players, and when you've got pairings like that to saddle them beside, I have no issue. And then let alone they've got was it William Carrier, Brett Howden, and Nolan Patrick on the fourth line. Like that's a crazy deep lineup if they can get, especially if you can get Howden and Nolan Patrick going, who have some pedigree and have shown that they can play at that level. Watch out. Like that's such a deep lineup.
And I go ahead, Devin.
Just the pairing of having Eichel and Pacioretty on the same line. Pacioretty shoots the puck every chance that he gets, and he has a hell of a fucking shot. Having a playmaker like Eichel as his center, holy fuck. Those two are going to light it up, period.
Yeah, and I've actually been pretty impressed with what I've seen for Nolan Patrick. I think he's starting to take a bit of a step in his game. This is a guy that's had a lot of concussions. So he's just kind of getting his footing there. I feel like he's comfortable. He knows Kelly McCrimmon. They have a relationship from going back to Brandon. That was a sneaky good pickup for the Golden Knights there. So, hey, it's going to be interesting. And that Colorado, Rantanen, nobody talks a lot about Rantanen. He's one of those guys, he should be in a lot of people's underrated conversation. You got Kel McCarr, you got Devin Tays. There's a lot of, there's just so much star power in that game. It's going to be fun to watch. And I'm looking forward to watching that as there. It's going to be fun. That's going to be a fun little hockey game.
Yep. Buckle in. Luckily Valentine's Day was a few days ago, and you can say goodbye to your spouse, your partner, whoever you're living with for at least easily tonight. 6 to 7 hours.
See, that's why I remain single, so I don't have to say goodbye to anybody. It's all good.
Yeah, it's
perfect.
Yeah, with the Avs, you got that top line, Landeskog, McKinnon, Ranson. When that line is going, I don't think there's a better line in the league right now. They haven't, McKinnon's had a rough season, in terms of injuries and not being able to, and then he was out with the COVID and everything. So, but Kadri stepped up big time. Nichushkin is starting to show why he was a top 8th overall pick, if I remember correctly, or 10th overall pick. He was after Bo Horvat. Well, I just remember when that trade went down, I was chanting for Nichushkin because I like that big, strong, two-way player. Like he's such a good player, and I don't think people. And he's finally realizing his potential in the NHL right now. And
Dallas was the team, right? That
Dallas,
yeah. How do you like that, Dallas?
And then they've got Alex Newhook on the third line with JT Compher and O'Connor. Like they've got depth as well, but their strength is that blue line. When you've got Taves, a pairing of Taves and Makar, and then you've got do they have both Johnsons, Eric and Jack?
Yes, they do.
Okay, they've got Jack Johnson with Sam Girard, and then they've got Eric Johnson with McDermott, right now, and that's a mean defense. I think if you're gonna play up against a big physical team like Vegas, you need to have big physical defensemen, and they've got them, as well as they've got Girard and Makar, who can really move the puck, and Devin Taves is a very underrated puck mover as well.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know Logan O'Connor, he when there were a bunch of injuries on the top line there, he got promoted. He played top minutes for a while, and he's a young, good player, 25 years old, and he's a very, very underrated player. So having such a young third line with Newhook, Compher, and O'Connor, that's a solid line to talk about. As we were talking about, or as Sean was talking about, having depth and making sure that you do have 3 lines that can roll on you. Yep, the Colorado Avalanche definitely have that.
Yeah, they do it. So it will be a lot of fun to watch that game for sure. And then, so we got that. We've got the gold medal game. And then, while we're here, we talked about Florida, Carolina. That's probably a good chance of an Eastern Conference preview. I would say if I had to pick between the two tonight that I would say would have a better chance of a preview, I would go Colorado, LA over Florida, Carolina. I just think that there's a guy named Sid that's just going to have a lot, and a Pittsburgh Penguins team is going to have a lot to say in that Metropolitan Division. But I think that that's going to be a lot of fun in terms of that. But the other team, I think, we haven't touched on them enough, so this may be a good transition to get into some of the Leafs here a little bit. And they were here. They went through Calgary. They went through Vancouver. Unfortunately not. They definitely got, they threw about 100 shots at Demko and Markstrom and came away with nothing. And then they found the goal in Grubauer and then in Seattle. So, but, look, the Leafs, I feel like everyone has them kind of cemented in third right now. They don't seem like they're going to get past Florida and Tampa. And I guess the question would be, do you sit in this murky third and for the rest of the year and just get yourself ready, or because, if they can finish first and they can get into a matchup potentially with Boston, they do have a chance to get into the second round. I've watching Boston. They're not the same. They're not the Bruins of your dad. Or your mom or dad, your parents' Bruins. Let me just say that. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are just kind of rolling their eyes at the Leafs, but it's a pretty good team that's in a very odd situation because they're not going to be the favorites with Tampa. They're not going to be the favorites with Florida. And I feel like part of the Leaf commentary right now is resigning the fact that it's in third and they're finishing in third and out of the first round again.
When you're the best option is the ghost of Bruins series past, that's rough.
Yeah, I personally don't see them. I see them only playing either Tampa or Florida as of right now. That goaltending is speculation right now. I don't know if Jack Campbell and Peter Mrazek will be able to help them climb the standings a bit more, because obviously the offensive power is there. But it's going to be a hell of a first round. There is going to be a lot of teams, including either Toronto as of right now, Toronto or Florida, or Tampa Bay potentially, that could be out in the first round. That's why the first round is so fucking good, is because everybody's amped up, ready to go, and it's complete and utter fire. It's just okay. Let's get to the playoffs first. Let's get there and let's see what happens, because it's not up or shut up time for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Everybody's sick and tired of them being not being able to get past the first round. And if they're going to do it, now is the time. And I feel like I've said that for the past 5 years. If they're going to do it, now is the time. But I truly believe that this will be the last iteration of this Toronto team if this does not go well for them in the first round, or even the second round for that matter. It's basically conference final or bust. And there's a lot of people out there who say it's Stanley Cup or bust, but to me, conference final, get that winning pedigree under your belt in the playoffs, and then you can maybe keep the core here going forward. But if it doesn't, it's done.
Yeah, and I think you talked about the goaltender, but I think it's more about the blue line, and I think they need to shake things up on the blue line. That Jake Muzzin, Justin Holl pairing, like when they're on, but I don't think they're a good pairing. I think they need to be. I think things need to change, and I think they need to find a way to put Muzzin with like a Lil Jagrin or a Dermott, and put Sandin with Justin Holl. Like, split them up and see what happens, because that pair is like, they're big and solid, like, but I think they're both trying to be something that they're not, in being a more offensive defenseman. Simplify their games and tell them that they're the stay-at-home defenseman, and let someone else take care of that.
They did have Liljegren with Muzzin for a bit last game, which was fun to watch. I mean, Liljegren isn't really one of those. He's not a top four defenseman, so they're kind of stretching themselves thin a little bit there. But if you can split up that time that you would normally put just with Muzzin and Hall together, with Muzzin, Liljegren, and Sandin Hall, then I think, Sean, you are right that would be more advantageous than trotting them out again and hoping for this, a positive result. Because they're getting lit up more often than not.
Even then, if the Leafs do make a big move at the deadline, I think it's going to be for a defenseman. And I know there was talk about Ben Sherratt being a potential in there. I don't think that's a fit. Again, you've got three guys that are basically that for in the lineup already. And are you willing to give up a first round pick and whatever that is apparently the ask for Ben Sherratt, which is ridiculous? I don't think so. I don't think that's a Kyle Dubas move. So no. I think if you're looking at it, and like, I think you need someone who can a better improvement on a puck mover, that you can have that you can split up that Hole and Muzzin pairing and have Sandin on one pair and then insert another player there. Whether, like I said, is it Dermott? but I don't think he's really taken that step this year.
No,
But you have to find that for me, a puck move, an all around or a puck moving defenseman who can potentially play in quote unquote in your top 4, I think is something that they should be looking at.
Chychrun. like all honesty, because they're the Calgary Flames and the Toronto Maple Leafs are kind of in the same boat as of, okay, they need to be trending in the right direction. This is the window to win now, right? And if you can make a move, which is super hard to do, especially at the trade deadline for a player like Jacob Chychrun, who has 3 years after this, is under contract there at a pretty damn good salary, then you absolutely go for it. You have to. And if they can make that work and give them a first and a second, and then maybe a Dermott or some sort of prospect, then you do it, I think, at this point.
That'll be what? For Chychrun, you're probably looking at, first, the second, you're probably looking at the top prospect, and then a roster player.
You have to make the money work. So fuck, it'd be, oh man, I don't know. Maybe they're right up at the cap right now. Like they
projected cap space of -61.
Exactly. So it'd be potentially a salary dump of potentially Kerfoot and Mikheyev, or there really isn't a perfect.
That's what's so crazy about the Leafs there, Dev, is like you're like, all right, salary dump, and then you look at it and you've got 3 players making over 10 million on the cap. You've got William Nylander, who's just under 7, and again, none of them are going anywhere. Kerfoot at 3.5, and that's honestly a good cap hit for Alex Kerfoot. Yep. But then they're just like Mikheyev's the next one at 1.645. So it's.
And if you're looking at the defense too, you have TJ Brody at 5 million, you have Morgan Riley at 5 million, and you have Jake Muzzin at 5.625. And none of those guys are going anywhere. So it might even just I don't even know. It would have to be a Travis Dermott, I would think, in that trade going the other way, and then and Alex Kerfoot.
Can I throw a name out? I have a couple of names.
All right, Kev.
Could our old friend Mark Giordano join the Toronto Maple Leafs?
He definitely could. If I was the same conversation as we've had with the Flames, I wouldn't touch him, because Seattle's going to be asking for the Sun for him, and there's no way that's what he's worth. And even if he does, I'm sorry, he maybe has one run left in him, and that'll be at best for him right now. Would be a bottom 3 defenseman, and it gives you more depth, yes, but that's not the right one for me. No.
And again, the other thing you have to look at for all these would be the amount of how what do you need to add a team or another team to launder the cap through to make it work, especially for a rental like a Mark Giordano, because his cap hits 6.75.
Well, there'd definitely be retaining salary on that. They would have to.
They have to.
Yeah.
What else you got there, Kev?
I got 2 more. You mentioned Chychrun. Maybe what about Klingberg?
I think it's the same debate that we've been having with Joe Pavelski. Is what is Dallas? Where are they? How are they? Where does? Who's the GM? Is it Jim Nill?
Jim Nill.
Still, yeah.
Yeah. Where does Jim Nill think this team is at? Because, man, at this trade deadline, they have to get it right. They have to, in order for them to
Dallas.
Dallas has to get it right. So in order for that to work, there's obviously, once again, there's got to be cap coming the other way. And especially with his, he's a pending UFA at the end of this year, 4.25, which is actually very, very team friendly for what he brings, as Sean has been beating the drum about, of a puck moving defenseman. But are you going to move I know you have Miro Heiskanen there and Esa Lindell, who is one of the most underrated defensemen in the league, to run that power play and be one of the top 4 defensemen on that team. I mean, I don't know. It really depends on where Dallas is at, but that could be a move that they do make.
Yeah, Dallas by point percentage are in a wild card spot right now. So I don't see them making any selling moves.
I could see a hockey deal here, though. I could, like, if you say no, you're saying no to Nylander, Devin, but I don't know.
Man.
I don't see the Leafs making that big and drastic of a move in season. If we're off season and you're talking about maybe a Chychrun then, and they're making more of a hockey trade then, totally. I just don't see them making that big of a hockey trade midseason.
Out of that top 4 of Matthews, Tavares, Marner, and Nylander, Nylander has the best contract, and he is arguably right up there with Marner and Tavares for importance on this team.
Well, and I mean, you've got a 5,000 seat arena to fill for the University of Arizona Sun Devils, so it's quite possible that you may want to bring Auston Matthews back to his hometown to fill that arena. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that would be really interesting if that was ever a thought process, but I don't think that is.
Okay, this one may sound ridiculous, but hear me, and I brought it up before, but look, $750,000. He's a UFA. The Islanders are not going to make the playoffs. He has experience. What about Zdeno Chara? He can play both sides of the ice. He may not be that top 6, but good God, would he be something scary to have in that back end?
Absolutely. I think that's a great move. And if they can make that happen, I say yes. Once again, what's the acquisition cost of getting a Zdeno Chara out of the island? As far as
I don't think it would be very little. I don't think it would be much.
No, I don't think so either. But that move isn't one that's going to tip Toronto over the edge. And I think that's a great depth move. But overall, you need something else that could shake up that top 4. And Chara, yes, he's playing 18 or on average about 18 minutes a night right now, and he's still doing really good. But yeah, it's not one that will make or break the team.
Yeah, I agree with what Devin said. I think it's that would be a good depth move for any team looking for depth in the playoffs. But that's not the type of move that's going to make or break the Leafs' playoff chances.
Now, I could see a Connor Murphy potentially out of Chicago. I think anybody who could get him would be a good bolster on your second pairing defense right there, and that could definitely be a one of those sneaky good moves. Rasmus Ristolainen just got injured. So, and I hope that there's no more talk about that, because I don't think anybody wants a Rasmus Ristolainen on their team, especially at that cap hit. Acquisition cost, I'm sure, would be through the roof considering what they gave up to get him from Buffalo.
I'll throw 3 names out there. Colin Miller. You've got Will Butcher, both on Buffalo, and Troy Stetcher from Detroit.
I don't see those being. I'd say Connor Murphy is more of a tipping point at a 5-on-5. Colin Miller is a great bottom pairing guy who can run your power play. Yeah, no, I don't think that they are those type of players are going to make that big of a difference. But once again, I think it's very similar to Zdeno Chara and bolstering that defensive depth. You definitely need that in the playoffs. And if you're going to get either one of those players, yeah, that'll definitely do it. I'd see Troy Stetcher's at the very bottom of that list, but doesn't mean that he can't be a part of a good playoff run.
I don't know about Will Butcher. I mean, this is a guy that had some pretty high expectations on him, and he hasn't quite filled it out yet. I'm not trying to slag the Toronto market, but that may not be the best place for him. If I mean, look at Tyson Barrie as it is an example, a guy that like he's probably finding life a little bit more easier in Edmonton than he did in Toronto, because there was a different sort of expectation on him. With Will Butcher, I wonder if that's part of the, just where he's at right now. I don't know. But I don't know. I wouldn't sleep on Colin Miller. I think that there's something there. As a guy that can play up and down your defense, has a bit more grit. Well, I think that there's something there for sure.
Yeah, those guys would be more sort of, if he can't make a big lands a big fish, I think they would be sort of lower down in your lineup and someone who would be. I think it would give you options for your second and third pairs, because you've got your top pair there with Riley and Brody, and that's working. But you need to shake things up on those bottom two pairs, because it's not working. And maybe that's a money. Those are money ball type pickups, as opposed to swinging for the fences for a for a Chychrun or a Klingberg. Because I think, you're right, Dev. I don't think Ristolainen fits. Giordano I don't think he's the right fit. You look at maybe a Nick Leddy again, but he'd be sort of down on that bottom in that second, a step below.
Yeah, take Chara over Leddy.
So.
Well, and like one thing that I don't think they've really tried is breaking up that top pairing of Riley and Brody. And I know that they've played decently well together, but break them up and have Muzzin with Brody and have Hull with Riley. Both Brody and Riley can be very offensive minded, and I know Brody has been more of a defensive minded player as of right now. But when he's in Calgary, reins were off when he played with Giordano, and he was the one who's rushing the puck up the ice. And there's a bit of there are some warts within giving Brody that rein, which would be a little scary at times. But I think overall you got to try it. If Dubas isn't able to make one of those big trades that would help bolster that top four, then you got to switch it up somehow.
Man, I'll throw this one out there just to see Devin's reaction. He's a UFA at the end of this season. The team doesn't look like they're in the playoff hunt. They're probably going to be selling PK Subban.
I was going to toss that name up there too.
No. PK Subban deserves to just be on Jackass ripping freaking slap shots at Johnny Knoxville's dick.
Spoilers.
Yeah,
I didn't see it, but I guess that is a thing. But hey, you know what? To PK Subban, there's just too many defensive warts on his game. He's barely. I mean, he's playing decent amount of minutes on New Jersey, but that's without Dougie Hamilton. He's not even on their first power play unit. Severson's on their first power play unit, taking over for Dougie Hamilton, and that's where PK Subban was really did well at the peak of his career, was being able to be that dynamic defenseman. I definitely would say absolutely not. Yeah, no, thank you. We're looking for a top 4, not an AHL defenseman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought that would be an interesting option. Yeah, but it will definitely be. It's going to be interesting to see what the Leafs do at this trade deadline. I mean,
if anything,
yeah,
they
and
might just
maybe
stand
don't
pat.
do it, and they may stand pat, and let's see what we can do. Let's see what this team can do. I mean, they're not going to be the favorite in any series with Tampa or Florida. So,
maybe this we can transition to the Flames here with this comment that I'm making, but you have Brad Treliving, quote unquote, rewarding the team for good play and getting them another depth piece in Tyler Toffoli. And I think it standing pat and not doing anything at the trade deadline for Dubas might be a hard pill for the players to swallow, because there could be two trains of thought, where thinking that what they have in their dressing room right now is good enough to push them over the edge and make them a playoff or a Stanley Cup contender, or maybe they're hoping that Dubas does make a move to help the lineup somewhere within the depth scoring, or within most likely what we're talking about is defense. I just kind of, I'd be curious to hear what the players are saying, if they want to bring someone else in, or if they think what they have in the dressing room is good enough.
They're the 6th best team in points percentage and 7th best team in points in the league right now.
Yeah,
they're a good team, and I think they deserve. And they're also 7-3-0 in the last 10. So I think they do deserve to be given a shot here, and they do deserve to be have Dubas scour the NHL world and try and figure out what he can do to add, because this team, if they can get the blue line right and they can get Jack Campbell or Peter Mrazek hot going into the playoffs, they could make a deep run, and it wouldn't be surprising at all. But they need to shore up that blue line, in my opinion, and find a way to if Dubas stands pat, I think that's a swing and a miss.
Potentially, I think that I think there's a handful of GMs in this league that are able to make those type of trades, and I think Dubas is one of them. I really think that he does have that swagger to him, but if he doesn't do anything, it could be a swing and a miss. But the question would be, okay, what are you giving up for a Jacob Chychrun? What are you giving up for a John Klingberg? And those are the two top pieces in that have been talked about within the trade rumors for defense. It could be better for them not to make the move, or it could be one of those ones where you feel like you have to make a move, and so you're just doing it for the sake of doing it, right?
And that's why
it's hard to say.
Mm-hmm. That's why I think there's the having the conversations about the Colin Mills, about the Troy Stetchers, and players of that ilk, who I would have as players who can be everyday third, number 4 or 5 defensemen on most teams, would be good. This is something that they need to look into, because yes, it'd be great for them to be able to find a way to swing for the fences and get a Chychrun or a Klingberg, but I don't think that's a Dubas move that he's going to make this offseason. He already was last season, traded away a lot of assets for a Nick Foligno, and that didn't work. So I think it's going to be a little more Moneyball type moves at the deadline. And even then, I think it's as long as and he has to sell the team on it. But think you do. I don't think the Leafs can stand pat and just go in with this group. I think they do need to do some movement, but it's probably going to be more depth as opposed to earth-shattering blockbusters.
And I remember being so happy about the Foligno deal. It's just shitty that he got fucking injured.
Yeah.
Right? And those are the things you can't really... they're random acts that just happen, right? So, yeah.
The one thing with Chychrun, too, is if you get Chychrun, you keep him away from a rival. You keep him away from Florida, who's going after... And Florida... Listen, Florida is going to be putting their chips into the trade deadline. They're going to be tossing some chips in. I mean, there's Chychrun, there's Chaka Claude Giroux, Taka John Klingberg. I mean, they're going after it. So if you can keep Jacob Chychrun away from the Florida Panthers, that's a huge win for Dubas, I think.
Yeah, and that is something that people don't really talk about too much, is making the trade so that no other team can get him. And that was another reason why, or not another, but a part of why Brad Treliving pulled the trigger now with Tyler Toffoli, is so that no other team within our division, within the Calgary Flames division, is going to get him. And I never really thought about that until about 3 years ago. I remember Jeff Merrick talking about it, and I'm like, that's a fucking smart move.
In baseball, the New York Yankees do it all the time. They don't acquire players because they need the player. They acquire players so you don't get the other team, so the Blue Jays don't get the player. Yeah. That's been the Yankees' motto, right?
It's a little easier in MLB when there isn't a hard cap to.
Yeah, it's true
that you're doing. You're acquiring Jacob Chychrun because he's a good player and you want him on your team.
Yeah, but you get a good player and you keep him away from a rival.
Yeah, that's a second. To me, that's a secondary bone. That's a secondary thing that is a nice bonus. The reason you're acquiring the player is because you like the player, not because, I just don't want him to be on another team. No, you're acquiring him because you like him.
Yeah. Well, and that they go hand in hand. You wouldn't be acquiring him because he's a shitty player, and you're not going to be worried if another team's going to pick him up if he's a shitty player. Right? They go hand in hand.
Well, yeah, but if say you're pretty happy, they have a blue line that they're happy with, and it's just we're gonna throw away a first, not throw away, but trade away a first, a second, a prospect, and another and a roster player for Jacob Chychrun who isn't necessarily going to drastically improve your roster. That's just bad asset management. Right? Even if you like the player, that's just bad asset management. So, but in this case, I think he would improve the Leafs roster significantly. That it's worth it. It's finding that right balance. And just because a team is in on a rival team is in on a player doesn't mean you have to be in on it either.
No, that's fair.
Yeah, and as far as Chychrun goes, he'll be a top 4 defenseman on any team.
Right? Oh yeah, I just use that as an example. Just I think it'd be like if Tampa wanted in on Chychrun, right? When especially they've got McDonough, Hedman, and Sergachev, let alone your boy Chernak and Jan Ruda. They've got a good group of defensemen. He's a left side, left shot guy, right? And that's where their strength is. McDonough, Hedman, and Sergachev are all left side guys, right? So it wouldn't necessarily be the best use of assets for them to make that move.
Yeah,
even if Florida's interested.
Yeah, well, that's fair. One more thing on the Leafs I wanted to get to, and then we'll transition to the Flames. And I what have we thought of Austin Matthews this year? I'm still not a super fan of Austin Matthews overall, in terms of everything else. But I feel like his game has improved in some ways. I feel like he is one of those guys that is starting to figure out the 200-foot game a bit more.
He's had it figured out for about a year and a half now. And his 200-foot game is very underrated. His 3-zone play is very underrated, whichever way you want to put it. He he works his ass off to get back. The amount of times that he strips a guy from the puck on offensive zone, his defensive zone, the opponent's offensive zone rush, is his back checking is definitely there. His defensive play when away from the puck is definitely there. Like he's committed himself to get better in every aspect of the game, and it's great to see, because I remember having this conversation with you guys 2 years ago. Actually, maybe it was 3 years ago. Where who would you rather have, Elias Pettersson or Austin Matthews? And it wasn't because of the lack of talent with Austin Matthews. It was he just seemed like he took games off, and he just didn't care some games. And now you're seeing that consistent effort pretty much every game. You can't be on every single game, but as far as what makes Austin Matthews great is his offensive skill. And if he doesn't have that offensive skill, he's contributing in other ways. Right. And you can put him on the PK and not be worried easily enough. And that says a lot to what type of player he's developed and grown into.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's a Selke level defensive player, but the effort's there, and that's what you want. And you need that from a leader and your top players. And if you don't have that, you're not going to have buy-in from down the lineup. And he's helping with that. I hate saying it, but he has improved drastically on that over the past couple seasons for sure.
Yeah.
And it's commitment. And yeah, it's commitment. Knowing that the harder you work without the puck, the more time you're going to have with the puck.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot of maturity.
Yeah, that to me is where I think the Leafs have, there is a maturity with this team. And I think that's, I guess, what happens with Tampa or Florida in that first round, however that goes. I also think that this offseason and how they handle what I'm presuming is going to be a loss in the first round way too early. But I guess my point is if I'm in Leafs land, I'm not in panic mode. Even a loss in the first round. It could be a very frustrating, and I get it, but sometimes you got to go through it.
That market is gonna blow the fuck up if that happens. It's gonna be a different level of ridiculous bullshit that's gonna happen if that does. I do not see a calm, cool, collective fan base if they get bounced in the first round, or even in the second round. I'd say the only time it's going to be okay. Well, I'm pissed off obviously because I'm a fan, and I'm a little bit more pissed off because they didn't make it to the Cup final. But if they get bounced in the third round, the conference final, to me that if they make it to the conference final, that's a win. That's one step closer to where they need to be, and have some more growth within that core of Tavares, Matthews, Marner, and Nylander, along with Morgan Rielly. Morgan Rielly's been there from day one, so and he's experienced the highs and lows. So I think that would be a quote unquote win, but by the organization, but by the fans, if they don't make it to the Cup final, it's absolutely nothing.
Well, they better not listen. They better let that blow over and not be stupid, because there is a potential to make some serious mistakes even in a loss, where I think you need to also recognize that the first round opponent here is a 2-time Stanley Cup champion. It's not Boston. It's not a nemesis. It's someone with the belt, right? And that belt has been locked on there for a couple of years. Right, so let the fans blow up. You just within your management group, you just stay calm, and that's why you listen to Shifts and Pucks, because we're not going to blow up. We're gonna be realistic about this.
Yep. And sorry, Sean, one more thing on Dubas and that group is, if that does go south, don't think that Dubas isn't feeling that seat getting a little hot, because. Man, I truly believe that he would be on the hot seat if things don't go the right way for this playoff run. And not saying he's going to get fired within this offseason if they do get bounced in the first round or second round. But there's definitely going to be talk around it, and not just because it's the Leafs. It's because what is Kyle Dubas done within his tenure here?
I think if it is a first round loss, I do wonder if that's Kyle Dubas' swan song type deal. If they get second round and farther, I think he survives. But I think if it's a first round exit, I do wonder if they do look at looking at a management change and a philosophy change, because it's just maybe that's what's needed. But you'd also have to make sure, who are you bringing in? Who's going to come in and be a voice of reason, a voice of pragmacy, and making sure that things happen the right way? We're already seeing the effect of what Jim Rutherford has brought to the Canucks and how it's calmed the waters. And is that something that they would be doing? Would they look at is to bring in someone who can help calm the waters? They've got Shanahan as president of hockey ops still there. Is it Ty? Do they have to bring in someone who can help, who's a little bit, just like, okay, we're bringing in someone for a new, but they're not going to make rash decisions.
I wonder if that would be potentially a guy who's in the running for the job at that time, which was Dale Hunter.
Oh, Mark Hunter.
Mark Hunter. Yeah. Listen,
there's a lot of Hunters out there.
I'm not here to make to get the names right. I'm here for the analysis side of things. All right. We all know who I'm talking about. Yes, Dale Hunter.
Mark
Hunter. God damn it. Mark Hunter. He depending on whether or not his feelings are still hurt and sour towards that the Leafs organization, I think that he could be a potential replacement for Dubas, but that there are a lot of other suitors out there that could be a part of that. And hey, if potentially Treliving gets canned, that might be a good spot for him to land as well. Right? There's a lot of stuff happening between that. Very, very much hypothetical-esque, because I personally don't think. I think he has at least one more year, even if they do get bounced. But hey, who knows?
I said, if it comes down, if they get through to the second round and get bounced, I think you're right. I think he gets another year, because that's something different. They'll have actually won a playoff series. So that is still growth. That's still development. But if they lose in the first round, and it also depends on how they lose, as well. But it's still a loss in the first round, and that market's going to be very tough to swallow, and very tough to be able to manage the outrage and reaction afterwards.
Yeah. Can we move on to the Flames, because even talking about this is giving me anxiety.
Okay, yeah, we'll move on.
It's bad juju that we're putting out there.
Okay, we'll move on. Before we do that, we do apologize, everyone. Unfortunately, Ryan Pinder could not make it. That happens. Have a good sleep. Let's do our promotions. We've got a couple of things to promote, and then we'll get into the Flames here.
Yeah,
we'll start with you, Sean.
Yeah, we have partnered with the Pig and Dukes pubs here in Calgary and are part of their Pig and Puck Club. They have 2 locations that you can go to join the Pig and Puck Club. The downtown location at 503 4th Ave Southwest, and the neighborhood pub at 1312 12th Ave Southwest. Members of the Pig and Puck Club can get game day specials when they go and watch Canucks and Flames games at either location. Members are also able to enter a draw for tickets to the April 23rd game at the Saddle Dome between the Flames and Canucks. We as a podcast have 2 tickets to give away as part of the Pig and Puck Club, and you can enter our draw by retweeting any of our episodes or pod clips on Twitter, or DMing us the word of the week on Twitter or Facebook. And your retweet will gain you 1 entry, and a DM of the word of the week will gain you 3. This week's word of the week is patience. Brad Treliving was very patient in getting Tyler Toffoli. He tried to get him 2 times before this. He finally got him, and the debuts looked really good so far. So the word of the week is patience, and we just want to thank Steven and Joe and everyone at the Pick and Duke for supporting the podcast.
All right, and let's play this. If you can see it, I will enlarge it. I'll play it again. That's right. We are, let me shut that off. We are having Area 51. Sean Warren from Area 51 will be joining us for a couple of announcements. It will be 4:30 Pacific, 5:30 Mountain. He will be joining us on Family Day it will be in between the Flames playing the Winnipeg Jets and the Vancouver Canucks facing the Seattle Kraken. And between there, we'll be doing our pod. And Sean Warren will be coming on to join us to give those special announcements from 4:30 Pacific, 5:30 Mountain to 5 Pacific, 6 Mountain. So join us for that, and then we'll be continuing our podcast after that. So we look forward to having Sean Warren, Area 51, joining us for a couple of announcements that we're looking forward to. There we go. So those are that's our what we call commercial. So yeah, let's get to the Flames. I mean, we've dug, I think, as deep as we can with the Tyler Toffoli trade. I guess in terms of what our thoughts are on that. It really does seem, I guess, maybe the first place that we want to go here is the vibe in the market, Devin, has seemed to have changed. It's, I think finally Brad got that piece that he, as Sean mentioned, he finally was patient and finally got that piece, either whether it was Toffoli or someone else. The market is certainly, it's on the uprise here. I mean, we saw the Tyler Toffoli chance last night. So things right now in Calgary seem to be in a good place.
Fantastic. The dome was absolutely buzzing last night. Before the game, during the game, and when Tyler Toffoli scored his first goal. By the way, what a fucking goal that was. Holy shit. Him on one foot, driving hard to the net, and being able to have that amount of patience to wait and go on the far side. And he only played 12 minutes, just over 12 minutes of ice time. It seemed like he played a lot more than that. And I think one thing that we haven't really talked about here is the fact that Tyler Toffoli, that they made the trade before the trade deadline, right? And he's going to be able to be integrated into the city, into the locker room, get comfortable, and go for a run on a playoff run with the Calgary Flames. I think that is massively underrated within having these types of trades in season. And I think the fan base really knows that now and really feels that this team has a lot of potential to go far. And Sid Sixero, once this trade went down, Sid Sixero, he tweeted out, the Flames are going to be a tough out. They just got grittier. They just got deeper on both sides of the puck with having Tyler Toffoli in this lineup. And I truly believe once he's in the spot where I think he's going to thrive, it's going to be on that second line. Or, well, it depends on what lines you're talking about here. But it's going to be with the Backlund, Mangiapane. He's going to be on the right wing of that line. And you're going to push down Blake Coleman to where he was when he won his cups on that third line. And I think overall it's going to be, it's just so much benefit is going to be coming out of this. And we've only seen the tip of the iceberg. Obviously he's not going to be absolutely amazing the entire time that he's going to be a Calgary Flame as far as Toffoli goes, but hey, listen, he's going to contribute, and yeah, the fan knows it.
Okay, but can I be the voice of reason here?
Absolutely.
Because I think that this is it's a good move. I'm not saying it's not a good move, but I think one of the things that has to be addressed here is when we're talking about Calgary versus Vegas, Vegas has done it. Vegas has got playoff success. Calgary does not. And I think right now, I still would favor Vegas over Calgary, even with Toffoli. I think, yes, it adds that depth up and down the lineup. I agree with you, but they still haven't proven anything yet. We still haven't seen top level Johnny Gaudreau, top level Matthew Tkachuk in the playoffs. We have seen Mark Stone top level in the playoffs. Now, if you want to be a cynic, we haven't seen top level Jack Eichel or any Jack Eichel in the playoffs. So you can make that argument with me. But the Vegas Golden Knights have been there before, and they have a coach. Yes, Daryl Sutter has cup rings, but Pete DeBoer has been to the Stanley Cup final as well. He has some success. I think in all of this excitement, I do not underestimate the Vegas Golden Knights. They still are the kings in this division. They've been there before, and I'm not necessarily there on saying that Calgary's on, that everything is underway and Calgary's on the way. I get I get the excitement, but I think we also need to hold off a little bit here.
So don't plan the parade down Stephen Ave and then down the Red Mile is what you're saying there, Kev?
Yeah, and I know that we all love Naheed Nenshi, but don't invite him yet to speak at City Hall. Maybe let's just hold off on that for a moment, and then let's see. Yeah.
So within that, though, Kev, do you recall what the downfall of the Vegas Golden Knights was last year?
There's been two downfalls. They've had trouble scoring. They had trouble scoring against Demko and the bubble and the Canucks. So scoring wise, that was one. And maybe the other one is maybe you fuel goaltending. I'm not sure.
It was Mark Stone not being Mark Stone. He struggled in that last series. And who knows how detrimental this this injury is going to be for him. Let alone, do we know if Eichel's going to be back to form? I have no doubt that Eichel's going to be a game changer, but I don't. Who knows if this disc replacement surgery is going to work out advantageously for him. I truly believe it will. But hey, once again, if we're talking about the things we don't know, because we don't know what a good Johnny Gaudreau looks like in the playoffs. We don't know what a good Matthew Tkachuk looks like in the playoffs, but we don't know if Eichel is going to be 100%. We don't know if Pacioretty, he's had a bunch of injuries this year and last year. And same with Leonard. Like there's so many what ifs in the air as of right now. If both teams are healthy and both teams are playing at the best that they can, yeah, I'm worried about Vegas. But Calgary's shown this year that they're able to play like they can and suffocate teams by the way that they play. The biggest question is, can they do that in a 7-game series against the best? And that's what I really hope I get to see that this year. I really do. Because that'll answer a lot of questions on Johnny. That'll answer a lot of questions on Matthew, and talk about two of the guys who need contracts next year. Man, if they don't have a fire under their ass to prove it that they deserve all the money in the world, then yeah, it'll be a sad playoff run. But you are right, Kev. Like we don't know what this team looks like.
The thing with Vegas is, and I'll pull up Hot Take Hockey comments about their center depth, and they had Chandler Stevenson was injured and for a lot of that series, and they didn't have Eichel. They didn't have the center depth. They have it. They have it now. If they're close to healthy, especially even down the middle, like they've got options. They've got Brett Howden. They've got Nolan Patrick, who can play up the middle as well. Let alone Chandler Stevenson, Jack Eichel, and William Karlsson. They've got the depth there that they were missing. and they've had some developments up on the blue line too. Nick Hague's has developed better. You've got you missed to talk about Pietrangelo and his cup ring there too, Kev.
Yeah,
they've
exactly.
got, and then you've got Zach Whitecloud as well, who's continued to develop and become one of a very underrated defenseman. And Braden McNabb is an absolute beast and is going to punish anyone who comes near him in a playoff series. It's gonna be very tough they're gonna be as tough as the Flames are built right now. Like if Vegas is healthy and everything, that's gonna be a war of a series, and it may come down to goaltending, and they've got both teams have really good number one goaltenders.
And the other thing with the Flames, and let's not discount Anaheim or LA, one of those California teams. Like, look, John Gibson has a proven playoff goaltender. Trevor Zegras has no idea that he's not supposed to be this good right now. And you got LA. Look, you've got Drew Doughty with experience, Anze Kopitar's experience. You had Philip Deneau that went to the final last year. You have a pretty good goaltending tandem. You've got Alex Edler. That's a veteran team that, they can wreak havoc. So I just, my point is I appreciate and love the excitement that's going on, but I do think that we need to also have some be cautious here, because it's not a foregone conclusion. I'm feeling a little bit of the Calgary versus Colorado vibes, that everything is hunky-dory and we're going to be okay, and they weren't.
Oh, I did not have that optimism at all. And I mean, you can call them bullshit on me, but listen, I really was not. That first round matchup was very advantageous for the Flames there, but Colorado, no, that series, I was surprised we got one win out of it. It should have been a sweep. It really should have been.
For what? If it wasn't for Mike Smith, it would have been.
Exactly. And God.
Sorry, now I brought you more anxiety.
Everything about that statement I hate. But yeah, you are right, Kev. I think LA is a really good story. I just don't see that they have that depth that Calgary and Vegas have as far as three lines. Their third line is Quentin Byfield, Dustin Brown, and Andreas Athanasiou. I don't think that is a big shutdown line that you're scared about. I mean, yeah, you do have Philip Deneau, who's able to win faceoffs and play unbelievably defensively, but man, I just think it's a feel-good story for LA as of right now, and I don't see them going too far down the playoffs. But the one team, and Dylan's going to love the fact that I'm fucking saying this, is I think that the biggest question mark, or not question mark, but the biggest wild card, thank you, is Anaheim. Just because Troy Terry's been an absolute gem this year. You have Ryan Getzlaf, and you have Adam Henrique, who are veterans in this league who can, yes, they haven't. Did Henrique win a cup or win a ring? I thought he did.
Wasn't he part of the?
Yeah, I know he definitely has a lot of playoff experience. So within that, you're right, Kev. Trevor Zegras doesn't know that he's not supposed to be doing this at this point in his career. And I'm not saying that he's not good enough and that he's going to come back down to earth, because that kid has a bunch of fucking skill. And I think that the sky is the limit for him as of right now. But yeah, that is the biggest wild card in that division, would be Anaheim, the Ducks.
Yeah, well, that blue line is solid. You got Hampus Lindholm, you got Josh Manson, you have Jamie Drysdale, Kevin Shattenkirk. I like that blue line, and They have, but both of those teams aren't playing great, and look who's third in the division now, after winning 3 straight since the coaching change. It's the Edmonton Oilers.
Not buying them.
There is a good chance that we get a Battle of Alberta in the first round.
That could be fun. I'm still not buying them. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, but there's that last spot is up for grabs in the division. Like Anaheim and Los Angeles are both 4-4-2 in the last 10. Edmonton, despite having such a rocky, they're 7-2-1 in the last 10. Like, and they have they've got Connor McDavid, they've got Leon Draisaitl. Like, what? Like, there's a good chance that's the first round matchup. It's either that or it's Vegas Edmonton. Like,
yeah.
Either way, that is going to be like, if it's Vegas Edmonton, it's the return of Evander Kane to Vegas. Like, the storylines, no matter what, are going to be they're going to be fun. There's in terms of I know it's really early right now, but especially in the East, they're just battling for positions right now. We could get a Pittsburgh Penguins versus Washington Capitals first round. We could get Ovi versus Crosby, in 2022, and they're still right at the top of their game.
And to our point yesterday, I forget who brought it up, but if you look at it, 49 games played, 50 points. The Vancouver Canucks are only 5 points back from LA and Edmonton. There's still that possibility too. And I know that it might be a long shot, depending. There's still a shot. So you're saying there's a chance. There's a lot of different ways that this could completely go. And as far as Edmonton goes, having this coaching change at this point in the season is huge. All you need is belief. On paper, we've beaten this horse to death. He's already dead. You can't count him out, because if Jay Woodcroft is going to be, what's the St. Louis guy's name?
Craig Berube.
Yeah, he could be the Craig Berube of this season. And no, it's not the same storyline as what St. Louis did when they won the cup. But hey, you never know, and I hate that. But as much as I would not want to see Edmonton in the playoffs, having a Battle of Alberta first round, oh my God, Graham would have we would have to have a joint podcast every single post game. We would have to.
Yeah, well, it'd be great to watch Graham cry. I think that would be what that would be what I would enjoy. All the Oilers YYC, they can come on. We would comfort them with our tears. Just kidding.
We don't have enough boxes for them.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, Adam Henrique was part of the 2012 New Jersey Devils Cup final team against the Los Angeles Kings, but he did not win the cup.
Yeah.
Yes. Final. But yeah.
And the other thing too is Florida's got a 734 point percentage, and we talked about the Leafs being. It sounded very doom and gloom in that conversation about the Leafs, but they're at a 707 points percentage. Tampa's at a 714, and the Leafs have games in hand against both of them right now. They could. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities that they win that. They win it, and it is a Toronto-Boston first round. Dev, how would you survive a Toronto-Boston first round and a Battle of Alberta?
Oh, they better be on. We're doing something every day. We are doing a podcast every single day. Hot Take Hockey will be joining us. You're coming on, John. You're cutting your live stream and joining us.
All I have to say is they have to be on separate days. My emotions, I don't know if I could quickly handle that. My emotion, if the Toronto Boston game went one way, and then the other Calgary, I don't know. It would just have to be. They would have to be on separate days. But yes, we would definitely be podcasting every single night.
Yes. Oh, we'll be doing that anyway.
Yeah,
You know me. I'd do this for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week if I could.
Instead of the Truman Show, we got the Olenek Show.
The Olenek Show. Yes. But yeah, I mean, there are lots of interesting things here. One thing we have not touched on, though, that I do think, this gets a little political, but this, I think that this is the Calgary Flames image the last few years because of the arena hasn't been great. It just, you two are living in Calgary right now. I see the Twitters and the listen to the radios and all of that. It just doesn't feel like there's been a lot of positive vibes coming from the Calgary Flames side. What does winning rounds do to all of this?
Well,
W's.
That's what impresses Daryl and the market. I
want to talk about something Daryl said yesterday, by the way. Next,
we talked about this before, Kev. I don't think the brand is as damaged as you, but it does help. Like, you go in, you win a round, and you get everyone happy, and you get the Red Mile going. If the new arena isn't back on track by then, that'll kickstart it for sure.
Absolutely. I'm with Sean on that. I don't think it's as damaged as you think it might be. I've heard a bunch of different views on what's happening, and it like behind the scenes that isn't public. Yes, I do have insider knowledge. Nothing I can really say on air as of right now, but it's one of those things where if winning will help both sides come together and figure something out. I have no doubt in my mind that they'll figure something out. It's just a matter of who budges first. And I don't think it's on, I think it's more so on the Calgary Flames side as far as advantageous for them in comparison to the city of Calgary.
Yeah, I mean, a first round win over the Edmonton Oilers, I think, would just skyrocket everything. I mean, like, they get bringing that rivalry back. It will get marquee notification, I think, from across Canada, because it's been a long time since we've had since when we're all together as National Hockey League, like a real legitimate rivalry. With fans in the stands, that would be as intense. It'd been a long time since we had two Canadian teams like that, so I think that would be good. And then just the overall success, and I think it just would put people in a better. And I say this in both I think both organizations do need some sort of win for different reasons, but I think would help the Flames a lot for sure. Now I wanted Daryl talked yesterday, and sometimes when Daryl talks, it's every time Daryl talks, I find it amusing. I mean, you ask him a question, and they're like, "Why did Markstrom get to Player of the Week?" Well, he won 4 games. But one of the things that he said a couple of things he said yesterday that I wanted to touch on after the game. Asked about Dylan Dube, who finally scored after 14 games. He said he used Dylan Dube and Adam Ruzicka in the same sentence. He said he's a young guy that needs to prove anything, much like Adam Ruzicka. That was very telling to me about where Dylan Dube is at with this lineup. And it's one of those situations where I know that I think some Flame fans are higher on the Dylan Dube train than us here at Shifts and Pucks. But that to me was very telling of where he sees Dylan Dube.
Yeah, Dylan needs to prove himself, right? He needs to prove himself that he can make a difference in this league, and he is as good as advertised when he first laced them up and put on the Flames jersey. I think he still has a lot of growing to do, and I think in the coach's eyes, Adam Ruzicka is higher up on his list than Dylan Dube is as of right now. He had Sutter has said that Ruzicka is and could be a third liner within, like he's basically said that already, that he's a third line center as of right now. And I think the reason why he's not been bumped up in the quote unquote lineup to replace Sean Monahan on that third line is because I think he's trying to season, Daryl Sutter is trying to season Ruzicka within being surrounded by Trevor Lewis and Milan Lucic. And maybe Dube needs that right now too. He needs to be surrounded by better players, and bringing in a Toffoli definitely helps, because I'm sorry, Sean Monahan is not that type of person. I'm sure he's great in the dressing room and people and the team loves him in there, but on the ice, he does not make the team better. And especially with a young guy on the wing with a Dylan Dube, I don't really see that being a long-term fix, and it does not help Dylan Dube develop as a player.
Well, we talked about how Monahan's likely a piece that's probably going to be moved out in the offseason, as the Flames are going to have to retool after this season. But it's, Dube did score last night. But he has had a couple games in the past. Two of his last 5 games have been under 10 minutes of ice time. Meanwhile, in it's been 7 games for the last time Ruzicka was under 10 minutes of ice time. I do think that Ruzicka has passed Dube in sort of the hierarchy in Daryl Sutter's mind and the coaching staff's mind. I think, yes, Ruzicka is being groomed, but he's also a center. And you've got 3 high paid centers ahead of him. And are you really going to put Monahan back down to a 4th line center again? I think you have to find a way to get him going as much as possible going into these playoffs, because we talked about how deep Vegas is. We talked about all that. You're going to need all that depth to go up against the Vegas, to go up against Colorado if you get past Vegas type deal. So it's,
how do you get Monahan going then? Like in what position do you get him going?
I think you keep him and Toffoli together. I honestly think there is something there. I really do. I think that there is, like, Toffoli's got some fresh adrenaline with him. I think that they've played together in Ottawa with the Ottawa 67s. I think that there's something. I think that there's some combination there that I think will help Monahan. I still think Monahan has something to give. Like, even if you do buy him out, if I'm another team, I wouldn't be opposed to bringing him in. I don't know. I think that Monahan Toffoli combination has an opportunity to bring some life to it.
And I think that's what Daryl Sutter does, is keep them together to see if there is anything. But if that doesn't happen, then you potentially bring down a player who can get Monahan the puck in the right spot, which is right in the slot. That's where he scores his goals. And who better than that than, in my mind, a Mangiapane or a Blake Coleman, potentially. And I'm not saying that Toffoli and him aren't going to work out, because Toffoli can do that too, easily enough. But I basically what I'm trying to get at is wait to see exactly what type of chemistry you have with Toffoli and Monahan. And if that doesn't work, then, man, it's hard to say. But as far as cap hit goes, it doesn't matter. Wins matter. W's matter. And if Sean Monahan is not producing and not helping that third line, then yeah, you put him down. Put him down to that 4th line. You give Ruzicka more confidence within putting him up with those types of players. He's still going to be surrounded by on his right wing with either a Blake Coleman or a Tyler Toffoli, which is still leadership through that. And I think Tyler Toffoli would be beneficial to be pumped up into the lineup and on that second line and bring Blake Coleman down, because Blake Coleman and Adam Ruzicka are very similar players.
Yeah, I look at what they're doing with Ruzicka is a grooming for a third line center role next season once they move on, once they retool and I like I said, I think it's a Monahan going out in the off season, but and having that depth is great too. Like I said, you're going to need all 4 lines going if you're going to go deep in the playoffs. So you need to have a Ruzicka on your fourth line. And he's got 7 points in 15 games this season in the NHL. That's a good clip. Meanwhile, Dylan Dube is 12 and 46, and is a -9. Like, you're looking at this team, and you say you always take plus minuses with a grain of salt. But when Sean Monahan's a -12 and Dylan Dube is a -9, and you've got Mangiapane's the lowest out of like the top producers over the up front at plus 11. Like, that's telling that they are really both of them, Monahan and Dube, and they are playing together a lot, are struggling defensively here this season. And maybe, I think you do need to maybe you need to have the puck more. Maybe having a Toffoli who's down, his ability to make plays down low and create and give the puck to players in the slot is underrated. He was really good at that in that role on the power play in Vancouver. So I think he could do that for a Monahan, but I think it's time. I've always wondered why they haven't tried Monahan on the right wing. Like,
he's not
now they're, yeah, but I still think it's something it should have been tried. Now's not the time for sure, but it should have been tried before this. But it's like, yeah, you're right there, Kev. I think it is telling that I think Ruzicka has passed Dube, and what's not good for that is Dube's on a decent contract. He's over $2 million on the cap
for another 2 years after.
Yeah. So, and which is why go back and everyone's saying, oh, it's a great thing that they didn't give up Dylan Dube for in this Toffoli deal. It's a nice thing. He may be part of a trade ship later on, but right now he's not playing at a level that makes me think that he's a very integral cog to this team. If he can get going, he will be. But
that wasn't my point. My point was ultimately, like, you didn't give anything. You didn't give a top prospect up. You didn't give that A-level to Zary, Pelche, Coronado, Mackey group. That's the point. And ultimately,
that was the big point. Yeah, that's the huge thing. And it's not the fact that you didn't give up an AHL defenseman who has potential to be more, or a guy who is struggling who seems to be falling down in Daryl Sutter's eyes right now in terms of the depth chart. So, but if Dube can step up and make that third line a lot more potent, like it could be, that will be huge, and that's going to be something that they need Dylan Dube to step up and become a very good third line player for them going forwards if they want to go deep in the playoffs.
And he's only 23. He's a young player. He obviously is here for a reason. I have a feeling, a sneaky suspicion, and this might be a hot take, that when Calgary makes the playoffs, he will have a role, and that role would be to bang and crash, even though he's a smaller body. Just create some speed, get the puck, and get the puck deep and hit some bodies. Do everything you can to get other players off their game. Don't focus on your game. Focus on getting other players off theirs. And I think that'll be the transition to see exactly where that mental shift is within the playoffs.
But he needs to start that now. Like if that's going to be his role in the playoffs, start it now. Treat every game like it's the playoffs going forwards now.
Ideally, yeah, that'd be nice.
Which transitions to the other thing that Daryl was asked. Now, this will build to something else. I have a couple of building blocks to this question. He was asked about Dan Vladar yesterday, and I know Devin, you have asked, and Dan, when I was on the Fireside podcast, has asked. We need to be playing more Vladar. Vladar needs to be playing more. What was Daryl's answer to that question yesterday? I'm glad he got the win. I do not believe he is sold on Dan Vladar. I think we are sold on Dan Vladar. He is not sold on Dan Vladar, which is leading me to wonder if the Flames might be in the backup goaltending market. Which will lead to something else. Like if they can find one, okay. I'm not saying that they're desperately looking for one, but if they could find one, they'll consider it more than I think a lot of people think.
I think that there's maybe less than a handful of backup goalies you could potentially get. I don't know off the top of my head, but I don't think that there is one out there that they would be really going for and gunning for. Part of me is very curious on what Jamie Pringle, the goalie coach, I guess not. Well, he's the head of the department, but Jason LaBarbera and Jamie Pringle together think about where Vladar's game is at, because from what I've seen, it's pretty decent. So there must be something that Daryl is getting or seeing from Vladar that he's not excited or happy about, and maybe it's his attitude. Who knows? I know that Pringle and LaBarbera have been very high on Vladar, going back to his junior career / his AHL career, and that they really sought him out to bring him over. But they also have Werner as well in the system, who's playing behind Dustin Wolf down in the AHL, and he has played some NHL time, like I talked about on the last podcast, and he played decently well. And he's same age as Daniel Vladar at 24, 25, right around there. And he could be a potential to be brought up and utilized as that backup role. So I think that what I'm trying to get at is that they have options here to as far as Werner as well. I don't know, even if they brought in, let's say, I don't know, I don't even know, a formidable backup. I just don't know if Daryl's that type of guy to have another goalie kind of in the net as much as he wants his number one to be in there, no matter who it is.
I think what he wants, I think what Daryl's traditionally has always wanted is a veteran backup. I don't think he likes inexperienced backup. I think Daryl's like a lot of people in the radio business. He wants to see some proven content on the radio before he considers you to get on the radio. And that's part of the issue.
Like the Flames are, like, if you're going to get that, the price of that's going to be very expensive, in my opinion, because if you're going to want a veteran, they're going to be on a deal that's more than more than the $750 that Vladar is, and you're going to have to pay for retention likely to make that work. I honestly, and I'm going to put it bluntly, I think that there is a 0 chance that they're going to go out and get a goaltender. They've got Vladar, they've got Werner, they've got Dustin Wolf if they absolutely are desperate. And because the only reason I say if they're desperate is because I think they're going to want to keep Wolf down there as long as possible to get him games. I do not see them making a trade for a goaltender.
Okay, but it's what's striking to me is how Daryl talks about Vladar It's not one of, and look, and Daryl doesn't share love a lot, but he doesn't seem to have it's striking me how he talks about Vladar. He doesn't seem sold on him. And I know that he likes to play as number one. That's part of the philosophy of that. But it's just something that has made me curious.
Like, and who's available that would be an upgrade? Like, I'm going through Cap Friendly right now, trying to find goaltenders in, say, who have a cap hit between 1 million and 3 million, because that's likely what you're looking at. There's 8. Alex Nedeljkovic not moving out of Detroit. Jake Allen injured right now, not moving out of Montreal anyways, because they actually need a goaltender. Mackenzie Blackwood not moving out of the Devils. Laurent Brossoit not moving. James Reimer, okay, maybe. Mike Smith, been there, done that. Aiden Hill, maybe. Antti Ranta, Carolina's not moving goaltenders. So you literally have maybe 2 in Aiden Hill or James Reimer. James Reimer's 34. Cap it's 2.25. To make it work cap wise for the Flames, you're likely going to have to get some retention. Aiden Hill is 26. Cap it's 2.175. Again, you're likely going to have to get cap retention to make it happen. I don't know. And once you get to the playoffs, it's Markstrom or bust, or Markstrom or Wolf, honestly, right?
The reality is that if you're looking at March, the schedule in March, you have 3 games in 4 nights, twice, and you have 3 back-to-backs. Then you go to April. You have 3 games and 4 nights, twice, and actually 3 times and obviously you got 3 back-to-backs, including those starts. The reality is that Daryl Sutter is going to have to use Daniel Vladar more and be okay with it. You cannot trot Markstrom out as many times as you want him to within those next 2 months or 2.5 months and expect him to be at the level that he needs to be for the playoffs.
I don't disagree with you.
I'm not talking to you. I'm saying in general, because Daryl Sutter does not want to play Daniel Vladar, and I don't know why. In my mind,
where the mystery is.
Exactly. He's a good goalie. He's a good backup goalie. Play him more. Find out exactly what you have within him if you don't know what you have with him. And if you don't know what you have, then it's all a fucking mystery. Then why the fuck do we even have him on the roster? You know what I mean? Bring up Adam Werner. Bring him up.
Yeah, I look at it and I want to do some more digging into it in terms of, like, I'm looking on Hockey Reference and they've got a nice stat of quality start percentage. In the 36 starts that Markstrom's had, he's at basically a 55.5%, and a quality start, and Daniel Vladar's at 50%. If you're getting 50% quality starts out of your backup, that's good. There's a reason they're a backup.
Yeah, I just maybe I'm misreading this, but it just what I'm hearing from Sutter is there's no love. There doesn't seem to be that love for Vladar.
I mean, it's also Daryl, right?
That's true.
It's like, what did you think? Well, I'm happy he got the win. Like that's quintessential Daryl.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
But even without that, the interviews, the starts are indicative of what he feels about Vladar.
Well, I think they're also probably saving him for this too. Like he's started.
What are you saving him for? What are you saving him for?
so that he can play more and more. You're playing Markstrom more now when there's the schedule is less packed, so that you can, and he'll get his starts in March.
Well, they have no choice to. That's the point,
Yeah.
though, right?
Like,
Even during this time, we've been worried about Markstrom and his health and whether or not he's 100%, right? You saw this in Vancouver. If Markstrom will play through anything if he can, even if he's 75, 60%, he'll play through it if he feels like he can. And that's something that scares me. That's my point.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe you get clinching the playoffs and you get clinching where you're at in your playoff matchups, and then you start looking at and you give Markstrom that rest. But yeah, we are going to have to see more of Vladar. But
I think saving Vladar was the wrong way to put it. It was you're playing Markstrom now to get the buffer. If Darryl is not sold on him, you're playing Markstrom now to get that buffer so that they'll still have to play the backup Vladar or whoever it is. But I honestly don't think it's worth the assets unless it's a bigger trade where you're getting a backup in return as part of a bigger trade. I don't think it's worth the assets or the effort from Brad Treliving to go out and find one that may not be as good as Dan Vladar.
Yeah.
Like, is James Reimer, Aiden Hill going to be better than Dan Vladar?
Reimer, maybe. the Reimer of the past 2 years, yes.
So, yeah, I look at that and I think it's much as Darryl being Darryl, and I think they're playing Markstrom now because they have the ability to without worrying him out too much. But come when the schedule condenses a lot for the Flames, I think you will see a lot of Vladar.
Yeah. Is there anything else we need to talk about with the Flames?
I don't think so. I think we've beaten that horse to death.
It's dead.
No, don't kill Blasty. No,
don't kill Blasty. No. Okay. So let's leave it here. Is that fair to say? Nothing else to talk about?
No, we're good.
It's getting dark out here.
I know. I noticed that. I was like, man, it's getting dark there in Devin's world. So how do we follow everyone?
I am BeardyConnect03 on Twitter.
You can follow me on Twitter at GordHouse09.
Chris is Schneidz, SCHNAIDZ. Tyler, TNOBLE. I am KEVOLE. Shifts and Pucks on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Subscribe wherever you get your audio. We are back Monday. Special start time, 4:30 Pacific, 5:30 Mountain. Sean Warren from Area 51 joins us. We start with the Canucks after that. And it is family day. It's a pregame. It's post Jets Flames, pre Kraken Canucks. So lots more hockey, lots of hockey tonight. So get enjoying, and we'll have lots to talk about when we're back on Monday. We'll have our Shift and Pucks news packs Thursday, Friday, and then we've got our clips of the shows that you can retweet. Remember the word of the week, retweet, win prizes, etc., etc., etc. Thanks everyone. We'll talk to you all very soon. Bye for now.